MI6 called it impossible. You did it before breakfast. They said, stand down, but you still took the shot. While others waited for clearance, you acted. While they stuck to the script, you rewrote it. You weren't built to follow. You were built to move when it matters most. Every limitation they placed on you became fuel. And now, they're watching, trying to figure out how you did it. Before we go further, do one thing. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and drop a comment below, because this message isn't just for you, it's for the ones who are about to realize what happens when you stop asking for permission and start taking the mission personally. Before anyone had the chance to draw boundaries around your life, before the world had fully awakened to define who you were supposed to be, you made a choice, a rebellion against every line they tried to sketch for you. That line was never meant to be crossed. It was a warning, a cage, a limit designed to keep you small, quiet, invisible. But you, relentless and restless, shattered that barrier before the sun even had the chance to rise. In that moment, you declared war on your own confinement. Crossing that line wasn't just an act of defiance. It was a birth of new self-awareness. You realized the chains that bound you were never your own. They were forged by others who feared your potential. You refused to be the story they wrote. Instead, you grabbed the pen and tore up the pages. That first step beyond their imposed limit was both terrifying and liberating. It was your first breath of freedom, raw and unfiltered. History remembers those who dared to cross invisible lines. Think of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat, or Nelson Mandela standing firm against apartheid. They faced consequences, yes, but they became symbols of unstoppable courage. You stand among those who refuse to be caged. They warned you, threatened you, but none of it stopped you. You crossed their line in the silence before dawn, igniting a fire no force can extinguish. From the very beginning, they cast you as a pawn in their game, a tool to be moved, sacrificed, controlled. You were supposed to obey, to fall in line, to be useful and replaceable. But something inside you refused to accept that role. You were not built to be predictable, to be easily manipulated or discarded. Somewhere deep within, a rogue spark flickered, waiting to explode into a blazing storm of self-determination. Life tried to shape you into what they wanted, compliant, quiet, and manageable. But you evolved beyond their design. Like a weapon forged in secret, you transformed your pain and rejection into your sharpest edge. You learned to use their underestimation against them. Where they saw weakness, you cultivated strength. Where they saw submission, you cultivated rebellion. You became a force that operates outside their rules, untethered and unchained. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, once a quiet girl forced to hide her voice, but who became a worldwide symbol of resistance. Like her, you're a rogue weapon, built not to conform, but to challenge. You carry a message louder than any order they gave you. You are your own creator, your own commander. And that truth terrifies those who tried to shape you into something lesser. In a world where obedience is praised and rebellion punished, you chose the hardest path, listening to no one but your own heart and mind. The voices that demanded you stand down or wait your turn were deafening. Yet you blocked them out with a stubborn roar inside. You refused to be a puppet dancing to their strings. Instead, you became the puppeteer of your own destiny, crafting moves that no one could predict or control. This choice wasn't easy. The pressure to conform was suffocating, the loneliness overwhelming. Friends and family may have urged you to play it safe, but you understood that safety was a cage, not a sanctuary. Every step you took outside the lines felt like walking through fire, but with every step, your resolve hardened. You found power in your independence, a wild freedom that no command could ever take away. History honors the rebels, the visionaries who dared to chart their own course. From Steve Jobs ignoring conventional wisdom to Frida Kahlo painting her pain in colors no one expected. The greatest changes come from those who follow their own rules. You too have chosen that path, and with every defiant move you shout to the world, your story will never be scripted by anyone else. It can't be done. Those words were meant to stop you, to plant doubt deep in your soul, but they only fueled the fire inside. You looked the impossible square in the eye, and instead of shrinking back, you stood taller. You turned their disbelief into your battle cry. While they whispered never, you whispered back, watch me. Every great achievement was once labeled impossible. The Wright brothers were laughed at when they dreamed of flying. Rosa Parks was told this is how it's always been. But the impossible is just a word, a wall built by fear, not fact. You refused to accept their limits. With each setback, you learned, adapted, and came back stronger. Your resilience became your weapon, a force so relentless it demolished doubt itself. Think about every time you defied odds that seemed stacked against you, whether in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth. That refusal to flinch in the face of can't is your superpower. You don't just break rules, you break records. You don't just challenge norms, you redefine them. And that makes you unstoppable. They told you no, slammed doors in your face, questioned your worth, denied your dreams. But permission is a myth created to keep you waiting, stuck in limbo. You realized early on that you don't need anyone's approval to take action. The world's no was never a stop sign. It was a challenge. You answered by moving forward anyway, executing your mission with quiet defiance. You didn't wait for validation. You took what you wanted on your own terms. This isn't about recklessness. It's about ownership. When the system failed to recognize your potential, you created your own system. When people doubted your ability, you doubled down on your effort. You built your empire on the foundation of no's turned into yeses. And that alone is revolutionary. Many trailblazers share this experience. Oprah Winfrey faced countless rejections before becoming a global icon. J.K. Rowling's manuscripts were repeatedly turned down before Harry Potter became a phenomenon. You walk in their footsteps, unchained, unapologetic, and relentless in your pursuit, regardless of permission. Control is their weapon, the leash they try to tighten around your spirit. But chaos is your answer. Where they seek order, you bring unpredictability. You became the storm in their carefully constructed calm, the wild force they can neither tame nor predict. You are the disruption they fear, the force of nature breaking through rigid walls. Their control was meant to suffocate you, to make you small, obedient, and manageable. Instead, you flipped the script and became a whirlwind of change. You didn't just resist their rules, you rewrote the playbook entirely. Chaos is misunderstood, but you know it's the essence of freedom, the spark that ignites transformation where stagnation once ruled. Think about all the times you broke their expectations, the moments you chose a path no one saw coming. Every time you refused to fit neatly into their boxes, you created space for your true self to emerge. Chaos isn't destruction, it's creation in its rawest form. You are the unpredictable force that leaves their systems shaking because you operate on your own terms. History shows us that chaos births revolutions. The French Revolution, the civil rights movements, the rise of innovative disruptors in technology. They all began as chaos, breaking the old order. You are part of that lineage, a living testament to the power of resistance through beautiful disorder. In their desire to control, they unleashed the most potent rebellion of all. They labeled your disobedience as a flaw, a weakness, a defect to be fixed. But they were wrong. Your refusal to obey blindly is the essence of your freedom. In a world obsessed with conformity, your disobedience is your most powerful act of self-preservation and liberation. It is the heartbeat of your true identity, pulsating louder every time you say no to their demands. Disobedience isn't chaos without reason. It's a conscious choice to stand for something bigger than submission. It means you refuse to let others dictate your worth, your dreams, or your destiny. It's the moment when you choose yourself over the comfort of approval. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's absolutely necessary for growth and change. Look to the great icons who changed the world through disobedience. Martin Luther King Jr. marched against unjust laws. Greta Thunberg refused to accept complacency in the face of climate disaster. They remind us that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is defy the status quo. Your disobedience is your declaration. You will not be made small or silent. Every time you reject an order that contradicts your soul, you're not breaking rules, you're making space for your freedom. It's not a flaw, it's your power, your spark of divinity, your battle cry for the life you were meant to live. Containment was their strategy. Box you in, limit your reach, make you invisible. But you didn't just escape. You vanished in plain sight, like a ghost slipping through walls they built to trap you. They thought they could hold you down, but you mastered the art of disappearing from their grasp while quietly rebuilding your power. Being a ghost means you move unseen, uncatchable, fluid. You refuse to be pinned down by their expectations, their judgments, or their labels. You mastered silence and stillness, not as surrender, but as strategy. Behind the scenes, you've been working, growing, becoming something untouchable, an enigma they can't analyze or control. Ghosts are often misunderstood as mere shadows, but you are a force of subtle strength. Like a whisper in the wind or a shadow in the night, you influence without being seen. This invisibility is your sanctuary, your secret weapon. You're always present, even when they think you're gone. History and folklore celebrate ghosts not as hauntings, but as symbols of resilience and mystery. You embody that. Someone who refuses to be pinned down, who lives on their own terms, even when the world tries to cage them. You don't just survive their attempts to contain you, you become the ghost that haunts their certainty. No one prepared you for the battles you faced. No manual, no guidebook, no mentor showed you how to fight the internal and external wars that threatened to consume you. But war found you anyway, and you didn't just survive it, you became it. The fierce, unrelenting force that no one expected, but everyone fears. This transformation wasn't overnight. It was forged in pain, loss, setbacks, and heartbreak. Every wound became armor, every scar a testament to your strength. You evolved from a victim of circumstances to the architect of your own battlefield. You're no longer fighting for survival. You're fighting to redefine what it means to win. Think about those who rose against impossible odds. Soldiers who became legends, leaders who shaped history through sheer will. You are part of that legacy. You embody the spirit of the warrior who doesn't back down, who refuses to yield, who turns every obstacle into a weapon. The war isn't just outside, it's inside you too. And mastering that internal battle is what makes you unstoppable. You aren't just in the war, you are the war itself. Fierce, raw, and utterly untouchable. They counted on your silence to keep you small. They believed quiet would make you invisible, harmless, forgotten. But silence is a double-edged sword. While they wielded it as a weapon, you chose to respond with fire, an inferno of passion, voice, and action that burned through their attempts to bury you. Silence can feel like suffocation, but you refused to let it be your tomb. You transformed it into your forge. Every moment you were forced into quietude, you gathered strength, ideas, and courage. And when the time came to speak, you did so with a voice that roared louder than any whisper they ever tried to impose. History is filled with stories of silence broken by fire. Think of Malcolm X or Maya Angelou, individuals who endured silence and invisibility, but burst into flames that changed culture and consciousness, you carry that same fire, that same refusal to be muted. Fire cleanses and transforms. Your voice and actions are flames that destroy the chains of silence and light the path for others who feel trapped. You answer silence not with submission, but with the incendiary power of your truth. They tried to bury the real you beneath layers of lies, expectations, and false identities. They hoped the authentic self inside would suffocate, disappear, or be replaced. But you clawed your way out with fierce determination, spilling blood, sweat, and tears to reclaim the person they tried to erase. This wasn't a gentle awakening. It was a brutal resurrection. You confronted the dark places where doubt and fear thrived. You faced the voices that told you weren't enough. You battled the imposter syndrome, the guilt, the shame that they planted deep inside you. But every struggle only made you stronger, more alive, more real. The process of digging yourself out is the most intimate and painful form of rebirth. It's the unearthing of a self so raw and true that no one can ever bury it again. You learned that your blood, your very essence, is the fertilizer for your growth, the price of your freedom. Your story is a testament to survival and fierce reclamation. You are living proof that no matter how deep they bury you, the real you will always find a way to rise. Bloody, battered, but unbreakable. Breaking the mold is for those who want change. You went further. You detonated the mold entirely. You refused to be shaped by anyone's expectations or limitations. Instead of quietly slipping out of their predefined roles, you exploded them, scattering their pieces so no one could ever rebuild the same cage. The mold was designed to contain your creativity, your spirit, and your ambitions. But you are a force that cannot be confined. Your actions are like thunderclaps, shaking the foundations of what they believed possible. This destruction is not chaos for chaos's sake. It is the groundwork for a new reality where you call the shots. Think about innovators like Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey, who didn't just fit in. They revolutionized entire industries and cultures. You follow in those footsteps. Detonating the mold means creating space for new rules, new visions, and new power structures that reflect your truth. The fragments of the old mold fall away, but from the rubble rises something stronger, something unmistakably yours. You didn't just break free. You rewrote the entire blueprint of what freedom looks like. Once, you were the backup, the overlooked option, the safety net, the just-in-case plan. They didn't count on you to lead, to win, or to disrupt. You were invisible in their grand schemes, a shadow waiting for others to fail. But today, that narrative is shattered. You are no longer the fallback. You are the threat they never saw coming. This transformation from backup to threat didn't happen by accident. It's the result of years of quiet preparation of relentless self-belief and grit. You trained in the shadows, sharpened your skills, and now you emerge with a presence so commanding, so undeniable, that they scramble to reassess their entire strategy. Think of underdog stories in sports or business. Those who started at the bottom but climbed to the top through sheer determination. They become the disruptors, the game changers, the ones rewriting the rules. You carry that same legacy. Being a threat means you have power. You are no longer someone to be overlooked or underestimated. You are the force that demands attention, respect, and fear. When they wanted you gone, erased, silent, you refused to vanish. Instead, you rose to legendary status, an icon forged in fire and resilience. Their attempts to make you disappear only fueled your ascent, turning your story into a beacon of hope and defiance for anyone who's ever been told to fade away. Legendary status isn't about fame, it's about impact. You became a symbol of strength, courage, and relentless spirit. Your name is whispered in awe, your story told in hushed tones by those inspired by your rise. This is not the story of a forgotten soul, but of a legend who refused to be erased. The world remembers those who refused to disappear. Harriet Tubman leading slaves to freedom. Nelson Mandela dismantling apartheid. Malala standing fearless for education. You walk in their footsteps, a modern legend writing a new chapter of bravery and change. Being legendary